Hello.
Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program is rated for all audiences.
Buckeye Time is sponsored by CrookedRiverRadio.com. Crooked River Radio is an internet radio station that is live 24/7 playing top 40 hits from the 60s through the 80s. You can find us on Live 365, Simple Radio, Roku, Radio Garden, and even Alexa, as well as our website. Come on and join us on the Crooked River.
Hello, and welcome to Buckeye Time. I'm Erik.
And I'm Pat.
And tonight, do we have a show for you?
Do you have a show for us?
Well, I think so. We'll see. So, tonight we are going to talk about the ridiculousness of the whole defunding the police and what it could lead to. What? Oh, what just came out from the Canadian version of child services. I don't know if you saw that more than what I told you about that, Pat. But then we are also in what we're gonna go into right now is ADHD and autism connection, along with a little bit of the connection of ADHD and something called borderline impulsive borderline personality disorder.
That sounds impressive.
Yeah. So this video that we're going to play for the next few minutes is the connection between ADHD and autism, but then I dug deeper, and I've been kind of doing a lot of research on all those three, and especially borderline personality, over the past year. And so we'll kind of talk about that. But we're going to get into this video now that about the connection between ADHD and autism.
All right, you ready to roll it?
Yes, roll.
All right, we will be back on the other side of this. You're listening to Buckeye Time.
Buckeye Time.
On Crooked River.
Thank you.
Hi, today I want to talk about ADHD. One of my children has recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and another is undergoing assessment for ADHD. Prior to this, I didn't know a huge amount about ADHD. I guess I knew that people with ADHD had difficulty focusing and could be hyperactive. I didn't know that the following things are signs of ADHD. Daydreaming. Being unable to stick to tasks that are time-consuming or tedious. Excessive talking. Excessive or useful for a career on YouTube. Interrupting conversations, speaking out of turn, difficulty keeping quiet. An inability to focus or prioritize. Constantly losing or misplacing things. Restlessness and edginess. Mood swings, irritability and a quick temper. An inability to deal with stress. Extreme impatience, forgetfulness. And more. I'll link to a list of common ADHD traits in the description box. Reading the list of traits, I realised that I was identifying with many of them. Could I have ADHD as well as autism? So I decided to take an online ADHD test. I'll link to the one I took in the description box. I took the Psych Central ADHD test and my results were as follows. Inattention subscale 19. Hyperactivity impulsivity subscale 21. And then it told me that based on my responses, I scored similarly to people who have a diagnosis of moderate to severe ADHD. Likely the combined presentation, as I have symptoms of both hyperactivity and impulsivity and inattention. To be honest, I got a little bit distracted and had difficulty focusing on the ADHD test. Irony? All my life I've struggled with talking too much and interrupting people. When I'm listening to someone, I have real difficulty focusing on what they're saying to me. I'm often daydreaming, thinking about something else, or planning what I'm going to say next. I have big, regular mood swings, and I can be extremely irritable. Some days it's like I wake up covered in an irritability blanket, and everything that happens and everything that everyone does is irritable to me, and it's really hard to live with me on those days, I think. I struggle with restlessness. I wake up in the morning with the urge to do something stimulating, something new, something exciting. And I struggle to stick to the routines that I've carefully planned for myself because I know that they help with my autism. And I struggle to get the rest that I need because of my physical conditions. And I'm driven to do more and more and more, even when I'm really fatigued and in loads of pain. I'll keep going and going and going until I physically can't move anymore. I find it hard to do tasks that require brain power and focus. This affected my ability to revise and write essays when I was at school and at university, and this meant that I didn't get the grades that I feel that I was probably capable of because I literally couldn't commit to doing the revision or the essays to achieve those grades. And this massively affected my self-esteem to the point where up until quite recently I genuinely thought that I was probably just not that bright. When I was younger, I constantly lost things. My PE kit, my wallet, my school uniform, my keys, my lunch, my toys, everything. I just constantly lost things. And I often got into trouble with my parents about this because they were constantly having to replace my stuff. I am extremely impatient. If I have an idea, or say I've decided to buy something, I need to do it like straight away. Mr. Purple often describes me as like a terrier with a bone. Like once I've got hold of an idea, I've got hold of it and I won't let it go until I've completed this thing that I've decided I need to do. I also really struggle to wait in line for anything. I am really bad with stress. I do not handle it well. I am very forgetful. Now I have a ton of systems that I've developed over the last 20 years to help me keep on top of my life. But I'm constantly trying new systems or changing things to help me manage it better. And all of these systems rely on me looking at the thing that I've decided to use as a system. And if I don't manage to get it together to do that, then I'm basically just going to forget everything. It feels like my life is precariously balanced in a system on my phone that if I don't check it every 10 minutes throughout the day is going to fall apart and I won't know what's happening or who I am or where I am. So as you can see, I relate strongly to the ADHD traits. But there is a crossover between autism and ADHD, and I do have a diagnosis and am definitely autistic. So what is the difference between the two, and how do I know if I have both? First of all, some studies suggest that up to half of all autistic people also have ADHD, which means it's a very common co-occurring condition. So what is the difference between ADHD and autism? ADHD is primarily a difference with self-regulation and executive function, skills that act as a brain manager in everyday life. And it's marked by impulsivity, hyperactivity, and inattention. Autism is characterised by differences with social interaction, communication, and repetitive behaviours. While the two are currently diagnosed and defined as two separate conditions, there is definitely some overlap between the two. Both are neurodevelopmental conditions. In fact, a team in the Netherlands has proposed that autism and ADHD are two manifestations of the same condition, with a range of subtypes, each having a distinct time of onset, mix of traits, and progression. However, the evidence for this is far from conclusive. There is evidence of an overlap between autism and ADHD in terms of brain function, structure, and genes. Several large genome studies have suggested that autism and ADHD share the same genetic susceptibility and between 50 to 70% of the contributing genetic factors, which may explain the frequent co-occurrence of autism and ADHD. All research points to a person who has both autism and ADHD may face greater challenges than an individual with a single condition. Well, Duh. I first started to explore the notion that I might have ADHD and autism in the spring of 2019. So I went to my GP and asked for a referral to the team that diagnose adults with ADHD here in my local area. Mr. Purple and I had to fill out a whole bunch of forms for this referral, indicating why we thought I might have ADHD, and thankfully the referral was accepted. But they tell me that my wait time will be at least 2.5 years. So more time has passed since then, and I've really worked very hard to come up with strategies to manage the challenges that I face as a result of my autism. But some of those challenges, the ones that I talked about at the beginning of this video, just don't seem manageable without some extra help. This is incredibly frustrating. I've considered private assessment. I could probably just about afford a private assessment. But having spoken to my GP, the NHS won't support prescribing medication after a private assessment. So if I got a private assessment, I'd then have to pay for private medication long term, which is definitely out of my reach. So I spoke to the ADHD team to see what they thought about that, and they told me that if I accessed a private assessment and private medication, I would then go onto a shorter list for an assessment with them. If they then diagnosed ADHD, the NHS would then support me with my medication. However, I don't know how much shorter their second list is, and I certainly can't afford to fund medication for too much longer than a month or two. So that's where I'm at, struggling and unsure what to do, working really hard here to try and manage some of the things that I have difficulty with. To give you an example of how this affects my life, when I go out socially, my compulsion to talk non-stop causes me a great deal of anxiety because I come away from most social situations feeling like I've overshared, dominated the conversation and not presented myself well. I'll then come home and worry a lot about the impact of that on my relationships with the person that I socialised with. My mood swings and my irritability make married life quite difficult to manage sometimes, and I'm a mom of 3 children, all of whom have their own individual challenges, and I really need to be on top of my own challenges to be the best mom and support them with the challenges that they face. Can you relate to this? Please leave me a comment in the comment box below if you're exploring some of the same challenges that I am. I'll continue to include ADHD in my content, and if I'm diagnosed, I'll obviously talk about the overlap with autism and ways to manage both conditions. Let me know if you think this would be helpful. If you like the video, please do consider hitting that like button, and if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. Additionally, I have a members only club here on YouTube called the Purple People. This is to help support me to make the content that I'm making here on YouTube for everybody. If you join the Purple People for a small monthly fee, you'll receive exclusive videos, community content, stickers, emojis and more. And as I've said, you'll be supporting me to create the content that I create for everyone here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Interesting. Very interesting. Where did you get that?
We got it from YouTube, and I didn't happen to catch her name.
Do a search for the Purple People.
What was it?
Probably a search for the Purple People.
Okay, yeah. We'll just go by that. But
we thank them for letting us use their content.
Yes, thank you for posting that out there. And but there is a lot to unpack there, and reason we're even talking about this is I've been diagnosed with both ADHD and autism. And what she said about a lot of what she said is what I go through on a day-to-day basis. The super amount of anxiety, the high amount of anxiety of social situations, that is really bad. The not like, and especially after situations, even there'll be times after shows that we do where I'll sit and think, did I completely overstep and wreck the flow of the show by saying stuff. Like, and there'll be times where I completely apologize for even bringing up a topic when we're on the air because I'll like I feel like I've completely destroyed the flow of the show.
Well, I don't think it's anything like that. If it was, you can bet by about 5 minutes after the show, I'd be reaming you.
Yeah, true,
You know me better than that.
true.
But as far as I'm the kind of person when I do any of my podcasts or anything like that, I'm completely open to comments. If it's not on topic, I'll kind of snub you and say, I don't want to talk about that right now. Well, let's get back on topic here. And
Yeah,
I know that's happened a couple of times between you and I in the past.
yeah.
But that's as far as it goes. My opinion's not going to change of you. And I know your situation and I know how I am. I would actually like to see that test that she took to see
It
if
should
she
be
had.
linked in the YouTube video that I sent you.
I'd like to take that and see if I'm anywhere close to ADHD. There's times I wonder if I am. There's times it's the squirrel syndrome with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take and be typing away, squirrel, and I'm off something. I'm off to something. And then when you own a station like this, you do that. You can be working on one project 1 minute and 6 other projects within the next 6 minutes. That's how quickly it changes around, and your mind wanders. So I kind of wonder sometimes if I'm not that way. It hasn't been so bad in the recent past because of the fact I'm retired and I'm a little more laid back than I've ever been. But when it comes down to it, though, I wonder.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'll admit this, I probably shouldn't, but what she said about impulsiveness, that is a huge thing. Like I noticed and I've caught myself, don't stop myself, but I notice biggest thing when somebody pisses me off at work, the first thing I'll do is go to Facebook and try to post something that I know will piss somebody off and pick a fight.
Well, and
'Cause
when you're working, and I've been through this 1.5 million times, so I'm going to give you some advice.
yeah,
Don't ever get mad at a coworker. I don't care what they've done. Don't ever get so mad at them that you won't. There's only been 2 times in my almost 40 years of working that I've ever got so mad I wouldn't talk to somebody.
hmm
And what you got to do, and this is what I do. You step back from the moment a second. You think about what you're going to say to them, and try to do it in a rational. You have to get it rational in your head.
hmm
That will save you quite a bit, because the whole thing of it is when you get mad at somebody like that, you're going to be carrying a grudge around the whole time you're working there, and that's not good. That's not going to lead
No.
to productivity or anything else. You have to work with that person. You're going to have to work with that person a month from now if you're still there. You're going to have to work with them a year from now if you're still there. And it's not that kind of stuff. Getting mad at a coworker isn't worth it.
I mean, and it's never it's never about them, but usually I post stuff.
With me, I'm
If
going to
you-
call your ass out any way you look at it, because
Yeah.
I'm at the point in my
Because
life where it doesn't matter.
especially if you see stuff from me on Facebook in the between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And it's political, it's just because I'm pissed that somebody pissed me off.
I've always wondered about that, because I've seen stuff, and the first thing when I read it, I thought, "Geez, Erik, what the hell?"
Yeah. Like,
And that's
yeah, that's because somebody pissed me off, so I end up attacking the government because, you know, verbally, obviously, but like I end up taking vital shots at the government because I'm pissed at a coworker.
yeah.
I will never go personal. Plus, I have supervisors who follow me, so I probably shouldn't be posting right then
Yeah,
and there
you
anyway.
shouldn't be doing anything
But
like that. But the whole thing comes down to you're using that as a vent, and
yeah,
that's good, you know, provided you get so you don't vent so much that it changes such stuff on the other side.
yeah, like they can't, like, as long as I'm not posting pictures, and I
You know,
mean,
you don't
I
want to get
have.
yourself thrown in Facebook jail or anything like that.
Well, I mean, if I'm posting pictures from work, you know, and management finds out, they could probably be like, "Why are you on your phone when you're supposed to be?"
Precisely.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be
exactly.
working. You're supposed to be making our $10 an hour.
Yeah,
What are you doing on Facebook? Yeah,
exactly.
I can
Yeah,
relate to
whatever.
that. I can
Whatever.
relate to that. Hmm.
I mean, I agree, but uh, the picture I posted was funny because somehow I had a organic banana sticker, UPC sticker stuck to me, so I'm like, I'm an organic banana for the day. So
Oh, yeah, I
OCD.
wondered about that one too.
Yes.
An OCD
I had to
banana.
bring humor to someone's day. But so that was a squirrel moment. I should be paying attention to the order I'm shopping. No, I'm paying attention to the fact that somehow an organic banana sticker got stuck to me and I'm an organic banana until I take the
You need
sticker
to.
off.
Everybody needs some sort of a trying to figure out, remember the word for it, a diversion. You always need a diversion at work.
Hmm.
And I used to do I used to think myself, um, I used to ponder stuff that happened during the day as I would, because when you work in an auto factory like I did, especially when I was in production, your body goes into automatic mode once you learn how that operation works. You walk in there and you don't think about it. You don't think about what you're doing most of the time. You're not thinking, I got to pick this up and I got to put it on that die and then I got to hit the buttons. It's repetitious like that, 300 times an hour sometimes. So you go into automatic mode, and so that gives you a whole lot of time to think. So you
Hmm.
think about what happened last night. You think about um,
Yeah.
what you're going to get into. You got a computer problem that's bugging you, so you start thinking that over. You think, how am I going to solve this? You come up with theories on, you spend 8, 9 hours a day sometimes theorizing it all out, and
Hmm.
a lot of times it does you good. Time you're ready to leave, you're really not that tired, but there are times that mentally it could be. There were
Hmm.
times when I was running a lead press that I would get up there and I'd have to do the math for the line, especially if they have what they call a makeout point in a lot of that stuff. And the
Hmm.
makeout point is when you can quit for the hour, and
Hmm.
you have to keep track of any time the presses stop running, and that a lot of times it'll come down to 6 point something, 7 point something a minute. So you have to multiply all that in your head. I at one point actually used to wear a calculator watch so I could figure a lot of it out. But
Hmm.
when you're doing stuff like that, you're trying to muscle these big old sheets of steel through this press, stuff like that. It tends to get a little weary, and so there are times you don't come home from work and you're just beat to death.
Hmm. And it gets with the ADHD, which the H stands for hyperactive, for those who don't know. And that people would think, oh, it's hyperactive in your actions, and you're just a crazy person because you're, um,
Have you noticed any? I'm
you're
going to ask you this
acting out.
because I know of I have some experience in this. Have you noticed, or can you actually tell me that your hyperactivity has kind of went down as you grow older? Have you noticed anything like that?
No,
You may be a little bit too young for that.
no, actually, eh,
There's going to be
I
certain
had
things in your
I
life
had
that
a
take that out.
situation last year where I had something happen, and that was literally the only thing I talked about for 2-3 weeks straight. That was so the hyper focus on that was all I talked about for 2 to 3 weeks straight on a daily basis anytime I opened my mouth.
Uh,
So, I mean, and that was probably the only time I've ever had that happen in 25, 26 years of my life that I actually I did a good job of hiding stuff for so many years. And when my friends saw how I got through a certain situation, they were blaming that situation when it was actually me. And I've talked about this on Radioactive, where I just did a good job of hiding the stuff when it bothered me. Then I finally show it, and fingers were being pointed wrongly when it was actually my fault for bottling everything in for so many years and just having it explode all through one situation.
yeah, I can understand that.
They've never seen how hyperactive I get.
Well, I kind of think as you go through your 30s and 40s, you're going to notice that some of it's going to settle itself down.
Yeah,
That's the experiences that I've had with people in the past like that. I've had more experience than you'd realize because of the fact
mhm.
my deceased wife was hyperactive, and
Oh,
she was at the point when she was 12 or 13 years old, she'd get ticked off and throw ashtrays. She threw an ashtray at her mother.
okay.
But by the time I had met her, and by the time she grew into womanhood and all that, it was a whole pretty much different story. She had calmed down. She was still hyper focused a lot of
Mhm.
times. That she could take and pick up a piece of electronics, VCR, you name it. If she picked it up, she would know how it worked within 2 or 3 minutes
Mhm.
and know about every feature of it. That was pretty cool about that. But
The I need something like that where I
you
can.
have to take and do that. You need to find stuff to the radio stations and that you probably helped you out quite a bit, didn't it?
A little bit.
I would think it would because you're focusing. There is so much to focus on here.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I have a real bad time with it, especially when I'm got other things happening in my life. I admit most of the time here lately, I haven't really put more than a couple hours a day on this thing. But there's been days and times, and I'm about to go into a period of that because I'm going to probably redo the music on the station. So that's going to be sorting and crap like that, changing it around and that. That's going to take a number of hours, and then there's going to be some other stuff that I'm wanting to get these podcasts into. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag too much here, but I'm pondering a Fire Stick channel and a video Roku channel. Those may be coming fairly soon. I haven't decided exactly when yet. There's got to be some financial situations take care of themselves before that's going to happen. But eventually that's going to happen, and that's going to take a lot of focus, and I just don't know if I'm going to have it or not.
And just on a side note to you saying that about the two stations you're pondering, we're also now that we're back on Spreaker, we're also on Amazon Music and Spotify. So you can now find us there, or if you know anybody who's looking for a new podcast to listen to, please let them know about us and just tell them we are on Spotify and we're on a bunch of things, but
we're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Spreaker, Google Podcasts. I think there's like 20 that we're on.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about the Google podcast, but that's I knew you had told me we're on a lot.
I can actually give you a list here. Let me keep talking.
While we're doing that, going back to the topic though, I noticed how I've really noticed recently how mentally draining it is. The hyperactive mind, how mentally it's really affected me in the way I'm probably 3 times the amount of exhausted as I should be with just what I do for work, because mentally it just sucks the life right out of me. With the hyperactiveness, I mean, just sucks the life right out of me, and like I need to figure out something to curb the hyper activeness / impulsiveness, because I know eventually that will get me in trouble. I know I've had in the past called some people out, not coworkers, but other people in my life. And
okay, the way this sits here, I'm going to read these off.
Okay.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify. We're pending at iHeart, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and GeoSavera. That's an Arab thing.
So, okay.
We're on those. We're being distributed to those as we speak.
So that's actually really good to know that we're also on Apple.
Yeah, we get around. There's quite a few that we're on.
People just need to know. They need to find us. But the whole there has to be something I could do to hopefully curve the impulsive, because I know I can't. I know that's immature, but when I get the impulse to do something, I don't know how to stop myself. So, like, when I get angry, going with the example of work, somebody makes me angry at work, so of course, sensically, I take shots at politicians on Facebook, because that's gonna do a lot.
Or certain Browns players, or
oh yeah, yeah, one certain Browns player. But I know I need to curb that. But on a let's change topics, because if we don't, we're not gonna have time to get into all of our topics.
okay.
So, did you get that Full House video in?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll talk about defunding the police for a couple minutes, till about 7:15, and then we'll roll into the Full House video.
Okay.
Okay. Um. So the whole defunding the police I find is ridiculous. Because these police stations are already understaffed enough, and uh I mean, I a take that I really have been thinking about is there's already enough stories about people being killed. Uh, I'll just say women being killed by ex-lovers because uh, whatever, for one reason or another, and the woman has reported the guy to the police countless times, but they don't do anything, and then she ends up dead. You know, there's enough of those stories already. But if you're defunding the police, there's going to be more of those. And I hope to God that nobody has experienced that. But until some of these people, God forbid, lose a family member, they're not um, going to. Then that might change, or that might change
Now,
their take on defunding the police when there's no police to respond to a uh, situation where a family member of theirs gets hurt or killed.
when,
And
where you're, as far as the defunding of the police departments, etc., this is a political kettle of fish that I don't want to get into very deeply because it.
yeah,
But when you start defunding the police, you're affecting, you know. All right, let's just take your typical situation. Somebody gets killed, and it's a like the Floyd deal where
yeah,
Floyd where they had his neck was pinned down for
yeah,
so many minutes. All right, that was wrong. I'd be the first to admit it was wrong. The cop got what he deserved. As far as defunding the police over that, or because the police aren't doing what started out literally being a criminal act by the person that got hurt. You know, you're defunding things over that. I just can't agree with that.
no,
Yeah, these municipalities have so much money for their police departments, and most of these police departments are underpaid.
mhm,
And as far as what they're there to do, they're there to protect citizens and what have you, and they're a line of defense. When you start taking that line of defense away, who's going to step in place? What are you going to put in there? How you can defund them, but how are you going to make up for the funding, or how are you going to take and make up for what you're defunding?
mhm. I mean, and there's already so many cases of cops knowing, and I know multiple people who have had this said to them, of the cops knowing the person that is the suspect having a long rap sheet, and the cops saying, until you get, we know this person is doing this to you, but until you get it on video, we can't do anything about it.
I think a lot of the problems too is coming down to the court system. There needs to be some major changes in the court system before we start defunding anything.
No, yeah, I agree. There's so much wrong with our court. People get away with so much that they shouldn't,
And
and
the stuff is not it's not even across the board. Most if you kill somebody, you should get this much time, but there are so many loopholes and everything like that that you're never going to see that.
And there's so much corruption that these people that have the long rap sheets are paying off these municipalities that so they don't get in in trouble.
Yep, and that's most of this is just wrong.
I know it is, and we need things need to change. They won't, and it's almost pointless to even bring this up, but it has to be said because these people who want to defund the police, their take will be totally different. God forbid they lost a family member because of a situation, but they don't look at
and the ones that
look at it that way.
Some of the ones that, like that Floyd case, that were, there was no question that the guy was committing there was a criminal act there. But two wrongs don't make a right, and two rights did fly an airplane, but that's beside the point. What it comes down to is you have to take and make these things fair for everybody, and the court systems just aren't doing it.
No. And we can talk about it all we want. But
addressing another topic that you had before we go into this into the end of the video, that business that's going on the Canadian border.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, let's get into that. So about an hour and a half before the show, I heard a report that I think a lot of you probably know about the protests from the Canadian truckers about COVID vaccine mandates and stuff like that. Well, they are now saying their version of child services are saying if you get arrested, your parental rights are revoked. If you get arrested, if you're a trucker and you get arrested for protesting, we're revoking your parental rights.
Interesting. I don't know how they could do that. But
I don't know either.
It's a good shell game.
It is.
When you look at it. Shell games there's a lot of those going around. We could start talking about that and the topic we were just discussing. When you start defunding the police, you're going to play a shell game there too.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to cover this up here and uncover it there. You got a mess. But as far as
it's just they gotta the government overstepped. They shouldn't have the right to revoke parental rights. And I don't know if they have a foster system in Canada or not.
Let's make the kids suffer just because their parents are buttheads.
Well, no, let's make the kids suffer because the parents are fighting for their rights.
Well,
I mean, in my opinion, I think those truckers, other than honking their horns, as far as I know, they're not destroying any property. They're blocking
international commerce by blocking that bridge. I've been across that bridge up there.
I have too, multiple times.
I've actually been over to Windsor, the gambling casino, and I've visited 2 assembly plants up there.
Yeah, I've been to that. I've stayed at that resort in Windsor.
I went to the
multiple times.
I went to the Windsor van plant. That's not too far away from there. Interesting facility, but I digress. The whole thing comes down to, I don't think there's going to be there are such things in law as idle threats, and making them stick without legislation's another thing. That's like these mandates in the U.S. and I don't know how a lot of these places are getting away with firing all their help in that, other than
Mhm,
just being butthead about it.
And I do agree to Justine, who just said that's how it works. The kids have to suffer. That's how it usually works. The kids have to suffer. Uh, yeah, and that's unfortunate. The kids are all the kids are the victim when they've done nothing wrong. They they have to suffer for ridiculousness from the in this case ridiculousness from the government. The parents are just protesting for fighting for their rights, and they're saying if you get arrested we're taking your right away or your child away for good. That's I don't know what their laws are. So but here that would be illegal.
As far as here too, it would just flat out be wrong. The United States has a constitution that allows you certain things. One of them is the right of free choice,
Mhm.
which your pandemic or what have you, your choices are being violated by mandates, theoretically. And if I don't want to, and a lot of this stuff is coming to fruition because of the, I see this because of the fact that I hear the totals of vaccinations and 56% and blah 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 and
Mhm.
30% and this
Yeah, are
and
those
that.
accurate though? And
And
on a
there's no way they're
quick
accurate.
on a quick note, when Justine, I see your comment. When you say Canada is totally different, what do you mean by that? I'll read it on the air. Go ahead, Pat. I just wanted to.
Justine, if you want to join us, you're welcome to. If you're by your house or by the house, whatever. As I was saying though, and hi Sheila, see you watching too. When it comes down to the right to, everybody's got a right to protect themselves, but everybody's got a right to make up their own mind about stuff. And these people that are not getting the vaccinations are making up their own mind. And I see nothing in the world wrong with that. The only thing the only place that I think that there should be mandated, quote unquote, mandated vaccinations and that is the healthcare workers, because they're dealing with this stuff every day and they've got a shot at getting it. But and for them to not take the shots is reckless. It's reckless for not only the people that they're dealing with every day, but it's reckless for themselves. So if you're in the healthcare industry, you should know that when you go into there, and you should comply with it. Everybody else, on the other hand,
just to chime in, Justine did respond. They have different laws. Yeah, I understand that, but there's still a democracy, right? Like they still have rights, don't they? And I guess I'm more asking. Hi, Justine. How are you?
well, hello, Justine. You're going to have to unmute. There you go.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. What's
Oh,
up?
no problem.
Thank you.
I just wanted to pop in because you said something about the healthcare. You don't being the only place you see it for a mandate. I disagree. I don't think that we should be mandated just because we work with, the sick, especially since they know that it's been proven that these shots are not working. You
That
can go
brings
get
up a lot of questions there.
right. I know plenty of people that have been vaccinated, boosted, and have still gotten COVID. Why enforce me, who works in healthcare, to get a shot that doesn't work.
And who knows what they're injecting in you?
Exactly.
That's the thing. We don't know what, not only what they're injecting in you, but what the long-term effects this is going to have on people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Long-term effects, that's another thing too. As far as, I don't know exactly what to say here as far as mandating the medical workers and stuff like that. They should
I
make,
think it should be up to the individual, not mandated.
and there again, that's where you're coming down to your own rights and your rights
Then-
under the Constitution.
Do you think with masks, those should be mandated, or
No,
that should be
Those
left
things
to the
don't work
individual?
either.
That should be left to
These-
the
these
individual
were-
as well.
These were
I
just
agree.
grabbing at straws.
Hmm.
They knew from the very beginning that these cloth masks weren't going to work.
Hmm.
I don't care what
Yeah.
they say. If you had masks and didn't have masks, I don't think you'd have any difference in the
Oh, I don't think so either.
infection rate. I don't think that you'd have any at all.
And remember when it all first started? All we're asking is wear the mask for a month. 2 years later, here we are,
Yeah.
still wearing a goddamn mask.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just ridiculous. It's just,
Mhm.
as I've said before on Radioactive, it's our government trying to see how much power they can have so we can become a socialist country first, then become communist.
I don't know if you're ever going to see communism here.
I don't think so.
But, I mean,
I
you'll
think
see,
there
you
might
might
be-
see socialism, though.
I was just going to say
am
there
I-
might be a form of socialism, but I think communism is not going to work.
Yeah.
Not to change the subject, but I know we talked about maybe ending the show a little before 8. If you want to stay for more, we're going to do best memories of Full House and Bob Saget.
Oh,
If
okay.
you-
We'll do
Yeah.
5 more minutes on the topic here, and then we'll go into that.
Oh, okay.
I don't mind staying. Well, we'll go to 7:45.
Okay.
That'll be almost that will be over an hour. So as long as it's flowing, we'll go.
Okay. Sounds good. So,
Sorry, I didn't mean to put a hinder up the show.
oh no, I'm glad you joined. I
didn't know
welcome
that I could
anybody.
join with
Yeah.
the link that I've always used.
Oh yeah, it's always the same link. So if we're ever talking about a topic that you want to join in on, just join in, and you're welcome. I welcome guests here.
The only reason that link's going to change is if somebody gets in here and misbehaves.
Okay, I'll be on my best behavior.
Yeah, right. I know better than that.
Oh.
Anyway,
But I've heard with the mask thing, I've heard different things with the paper masks, the surgical masks, on how if they work or not. I've heard they don't, they kind of do, they really do. Then I've heard the only thing that really works is the N95, which are hard to get and are so airtight to your face that they're hard to breathe in. I don't know if you have any insight on the whole paper mask thing being in the medical field, and if you know how well they stop or not, Justine, but do you
Well,
have any insight on that?
The surgical masks and the N95s are going to be better than your cloth mask any day. Cloth masks are pretty much for fashion. I don't want to, unless they have a filter in them. Like I had a couple of Minnie Mouse ones that have removable filters, and those are acceptable at where I work, thankfully. But your surgical masks are not as good as the N95s, of course. And the N95s, honestly, they suck when you have to wear them all day long. You get indents in your face, like all around. They hurt your nose. It's just, they're not comfortable. But a lot of these places, hospitals, nursing homes, assisted livings, whatever, they require us to wear one. So, you gotta sacrifice the comfort if you want a job, pretty much.
Yeah, I get that. So this question is kind of for both of you. So if you're going in a grocery store, do you feel more comfortable if the employees are wearing a mask? Do you think it's their, their choice, or do you think the companies have a right to mandate the masks?
I think it should be a decision by each person that walks in there myself. If I don't want to wear a mask, I'm not going to wear one.
No, I'm talking about, do you think
And
they should require
as
the
far as
employee?
the person that's waiting on me, I don't really.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't care if they're wearing one or not. If I want to protect myself, I'll have it on.
Right, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, I know a lot of these places have dropped the mask requirements for their employees. Acme being one of them.
Yeah, I think where I work is probably the only one that
this
doesn't.
one over here by us, they're not requiring the masks anymore. I don't believe.
For their employees?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just at Acme over here, and the employees had to wear them.
It's probably individual stores.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, probably up to management.
In March, the club that I operate as far as being the president of, we're going back to meeting face to face for the first time in 2 years, and I would imagine it's going to be probably 50-50. We voted back months ago that if when we do meet face to face, that it was going to be masks were going to be required. But there again, the whole situation has changed there because we're almost a year later. So it's, I don't know what we're going to do with that. We haven't decided on that yet. But
I see. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask, but don't, as a company, don't make me wear a mask. And if I don't wear a mask, don't come up to me and start shaming me. That's my choice. That's my right as an American. I don't want to say I don't care about people, because I do. But there's a point where, like Justine said, the cloth masks are just for fashion. They don't do anything. So why wear them?
Exactly. Why wear them if they're not going to do you any good anyway? And no, there's been no scientific proof that any of these masks is doing any good.
The only one that probably does anything is the N95.
And they're not even sure of that.
Well, I could see how it would stop because it's literally suction to your face. But that causes other issues with breathing and stuff.
Yep.
But, that's about all I have to say about this.
Anyway.
With the N95s, it's not that difficult to breathe in them. Sure, it presses up against your face, but it's not like you have to wear a respirator.
Okay.
You're not wearing a gas mask.
So you're not going trying to catch your breath. It's not like that. I can talk to you with one of those on. It's just cumbersome on your face. It hurts to wear, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't strain. You don't strain to breathe.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay, let's get into the Full house thing, because I feel like that could last a few minutes.
All right, let's do that. We will be back on the other side of this. You're going to hang in, Justine?
She said yes.
Okay. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to
Buckeye Time.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Buckeye Time on Crooked River.
Wanna play? Not right now, Michelle. But you're my favorite sister. Really? I'm your favorite sister? That's so sweet. But I'm kind of busy right now. Today they made me editor of the school newspaper. What do you think of your favorite sister now? Hey, babes. Hey, Seth. Wanna play? You're my favorite sister. I am? Really? Did you hear that, TJ? Enjoy it while it lasts.
Michelle, now I'm going to teach you your first joke, okay? All right. Now, when I say knock knock, you say, who's there?
Okay.
Okay? Knock knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
That's not funny.
No, you're supposed to say boo hoo.
Why?
Well, because that's part of the joke. I say knock knock. Who's there? Boo. Boo hoo. Don't cry. It's only a joke. Got it?
Got it, dude.
Good.
Who's there?
It's Dad.
Dad who?
Oh, you don't know your own dad?
Don't cry. It's only a joke.
Not a really...
Michelle, surf's up, dudes. Surf's up, dudes? Now your time's up, dudette. I'm calling Dad. Wait. Is there any possible way we can get blamed for this? Not this time. Look at her. She's a sitting duck. We got her now. Dad, get in here! Hurry up!
Girls, what's all the...
No shooting in the pool.
And... action! Wake up, San Francisco! Hi, I'm Danny Tanner.
And I'm Rebecca Donaldson, and starting next week, you'll be seeing a new and improved...
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt.
Here we go.
Well, at the risk of talking too much, guys, shouldn't we be waking up a little more naturally? She's shooting up like a Pop-Tart in a toaster.
Oh! Well, excuse me for being so perky, but I thought the idea was to wake up with some energy. Right, Pumpkin?
Yes, sweetheart. I'll handle her. You handle the tall one. Oh, honey muffin, I love you and I love the way you woke up.
He's playing favorites.
Aw, honey muffin. I love you and I love the way you woke up. There.
Play shadow. No, thank you. No, thank you. I said no, thank you. I said no, thank you. Okay. I'll do anything Stephanie says. I'll do anything what Steffi says. Steffi says stop playing. Steffi says stop playing. It was worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Hi, DJ. Hi. Hi there, Tanner Tots. Oh, great. Kimmy's here. Oh, great. Kimmy's here. You guys sound just like my parents. Okay, Copycat. I'm going to go eat broccoli. Okay, Copycat. I'm going to eat some ice cream.
Okay, let's just rehearse this beginning to end once with no stops, please.
That's right. Danny, perk it up. Becky, perk it down. And action.
Wake up, San Francisco! Hi, I'm the perky Danny Tanner.
And I'm the stiff Rebecca Donaldson. And starting next week, you'll be seeing a new and improved Wake Up San Francisco.
It's warmer.
It's friendlier.
So let our happy home.
Be a part of your happy home.
Get yourself comfortable.
Grab yourself a cup of coffee.
And a Pop-Tart. And join us every morning at 9 as we say, Wake up, San Francisco.
That looked really good.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm muted. Lovely. Oh, and we're back here on Buckeye Time. That we want to thank Media by Linda for who put that montage together, and since it's Full House, Jeff Franklin Productions who produced the actual show. Well, we want if you want to talk about the what we were kind of link this kind of to what we were talking about earlier with ADHD, and Danny Tanner, the character, or more OCD, he definitely had that with the whole cleaning, the whole clean freak thing. You saw that in the one scene that they played. That he couldn't date that lady because her house was a mess.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy what's been coming out about Bob Saget. I know his family wants the autopsy to be private, but
It's
I don't.
just sad that he passed away like that.
I know. I mean, I guess that's a huge, like, example of why you don't fall asleep, no matter how you aren't feeling the effects. You don't fall asleep after hitting your head, because you might have a concussion and you might not be feeling it right at that point, but you might have a concussion, and the worst thing to do, because you can end up dying, like I think is kind of what happened
Bumped
in his
his head
case.
and went to bed,
Yeah.
and he didn't get up in the morning.
Yeah.
There's a nursery rhyme or something like that.
Yeah, there should no more monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off his.
I knew that sounded familiar.
One fell off and bumped
bumped his head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed."
Yep.
But yeah, that nursery rhyme is proven why you don't jump or why you don't sleep after going.
Why you don't jump on the bed?
Yeah, that too.
There was a song. There was a song with that lyric in it too. I'm trying to think what it was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember it, but I don't remember the title, but I
I'm gonna
remember
look
the song.
that up on. You guys go ahead and talk a minute. I'm gonna go look on. See if I
Oh.
can find
I was
that.
watching that clip, and oh my gosh, it brought back so many memories. I was in high school. Well, no. Yeah, probably early high school years, when that show was on, and I'm just like, wow, that was over 30 years ago.
Have you seen any of the Netflix version or the Netflix reboot?
The Fuller House.
Yeah,
I watched all of the seasons.
I think I'm on like middle of season 2.
It's Raining, It's Pouring was the name of that thing I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay.
Went to bed and bumped his head and didn't wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
It's raining, it's pouring. The old man is
The old
snoring.
man is snoring.
Bumped his head, went to bed, and didn't get up in the morning.
Went to bed with a cold in his head and didn't wake up in the morning. Yeah.
Yep. I knew that was out there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
You remember that TV show though, Eric?
Yeah, I do. I used to watch it all the. I've seen the reruns.
Nick at Night.
Yeah, the Nick at Night. Well, ABC Family, before they switched to Freeform, they have that every day.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
That in Seventh Heaven before that show.
Saved by the Bell. All those
What?
good
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah. But there's so many. I don't remember a lot of the like younger year episodes, like even though I've seen all the episodes in reruns, But I remember a lot of. I remember the car in the kitchen episode. Do you remember? Yeah.
I remember all of the episodes. Yeah, I remember when they first aired because that was my show.
The swimming pool in the kitchen.
No shoes in the pool.
No swimming in the kitchen. What did you learn? No swimming in the kitchen. That's a lesson every kid should learn.
God, do I feel old.
Right? Like I said, Dad, that was 30 years ago when it was out.
Oh my God.
I was in high
Or
school.
the Mr. Egghead episode. Do you remember that one? Where Joey takes over as like the mad scientist for the
Yeah.
guy who, yeah. That one was good.
They
There's
were all
so-
good. That was back
yeah.
when TV shows were good.
Yeah.
Well,
Then there's crap
family-
nowadays.
like quality family TV is what it was.
Because even kid shows nowadays aren't as kid friendly as they used to be.
Yeah.
They're more PG-13 and
They treat the kids more like idiots in them too.
mhm.
You know, that's the one thing. I usually tune by some of these kids channels, Disney Plus, whatever, or not Disney Plus, the
Disney Channel.
Nickelodeons, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the shows on those things, just they're so unrealistic, and the kids are just overacting all out the wazoo.
Mhm.
And it's just nothing like it. Remember that when we used to all sit there on Sunday afternoons and watching Clarissa Explains It All. Remember
Love that show.
That was my favorite Nickelodeon show, by far.
What about You Can't Do That on TV?
That was another one. I liked that one too. But between Clarissa and that one, those are why I watched it. I like to watch Nick. Now it's similar to what the cartoons have done too. You can't
Gosh,
find a good
on in the-
cartoon anymore.
You Can't Do
No.
That on TV was on in the late or mid 80s.
Yeah.
So I was in elementary school then. My God.
When you guys were still coming over to the apartment.
Every other weekend. Yep.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the Amanda Show, or was that or like post your? Okay.
It's past my time.
Okay. That was when I was like really super young. So I was probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah. I'm old enough to be your mom, Eric.
I know.
Those were good, wholesome shows. Even when you go into stuff from my generation, you know, the wholesome shows back then was Dick Van Dyke and
Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith, right?
And I Love Lucy. Well, was that?
I Love Lucy was another good one.
Yeah.
Then when it started evolving into the Bunkers and the Jeffersons. Although I always liked the Jeffersons. Those are cool shows. George Jefferson was the man. And then you started.
Wasn't he a spinoff from?
That was a spinoff of Archie's. You know.
That's what I thought.
Of the Bunkers. And that.
What was that other show? There was a spinoff. There was another spinoff from there, wasn't it? What am I thinking?
There was one that had that mixed race couple in it, but that one never did that well. I don't even remember what his name was.
Oh,
tall white guy.
Yeah. George
Yeah.
used to make fun of him.
Yeah.
The Waltons was another good one.
Yeah, that show didn't make it. The show you're thinking of, Dad, didn't make it very long.
Yeah.
Maybe a season.
But,
I wish they would bring the Waltons back on the TV. that was probably one. Them and I Love Lucy. I wish they would bring those two shows back.
Was that which one? Which one was it? The Good Night, John Boy.
That was the
That was
Waltons.
Walton's. Little House Oh So Dreary. I mean, Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
Mad Magazine did a take off of that show that I will never ever forget. They called it Little House Oh So Dreary.
Oh.
And it was about six pages of complete parody of that show. It was the funniest thing I ever read.
Oh.
Mad Magazine at one point in my life was the magazine to have. That thing had some good articles in it, and it was for the hip generation that were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
They had one that was in that thing called the Acid Trip, and it
Wow.
talked about going
Because
to
that's not.
going to this party and what it was like to get stoned, and it was really off the wall.
Of course.
Recommended reading.
Didn't they have a show, Mad TV?
Yeah, that wasn't the same thing though. That was
I thought it was.
sponsored by Mad Magazine, but it wasn't really the same.
Mm.
But then at the end of that article, it tells this guy, well, I seem to be okay now. Everything is back to normal, NORBAL, and that was the last line in that writing. It was really good. Talk about things that affect your life.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 5 more minutes and we'll wrap this up. I was worried about going an hour and a half, but looks like we're gonna make it.
Yeah. See, we could do
welcome.
it, Pat.
We couldn't have done it without Justine.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We would have been wrapped up 15 minutes ago.
Probably. Not even kidding.
It's all her fault.
Justine, did you see the video from Mexico of the birds just falling out of the sky?
No.
Yeah, there was a video that's surfacing now. It was a security camera from a house in Mexico. Hundreds of birds just falling at once. If you get a chance to check Facebook, I posted an article which has the video.
In fact, I think we covered that once when back when that happened before. Remember that we were talking about that, Eric? I believe we covered that on a radioactive show, trying to figure out what it was. That was back in the time we were going into the space saucers and was Christ an alien and all that. But I think I think that's going to be a show topic for this week for us on Radioactive.
Oh, you're doing one this week?
Oh, yeah. Can't go 2 weeks in a row. I don't know about your brother's show Saturday, but we'll see. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I got an appointment that morning.
Oh, okay.
Provided everything happens tomorrow like it's supposed to.
It will. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, excuse me.
I know he was watching at one point. If you're still watching, Sean, hi. But anyway, yeah, that was really shocking to see them just fall out of the sky all at the same time.
Well, what was it that it was in Florida that it gets cold and the stuff falls out of the trees?
Oh, that was
like geckos or
the geckos,
something like
yeah. It gets below 40 degrees, they freeze, and they fall out of the trees. When geckos freeze, it weakens their knees, and all they do, and all of a sudden they fall out of the trees. I'm a poet, but I don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
A week from today, I'll be in Florida, by the way.
That's nice.
Lucky you. We'll all be stuck here, and you'll be living it up in Florida.
Well, you're picking a pretty good time to go.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 90 degrees on Thursday.
It's gonna start getting warm again. This time of the year, around this time of the year, it's still a little chilly down here. But after the next week or so, it starts warming up.
It's been in the 80s since like a couple of days ago.
Believe me, I know all about that state's temperatures. Remember, I was down there in February twice.
Yeah.
And it was 26 degrees the one day we got out of bed over in Tampa, or near Tampa.
I'm going to see Aunt Janice and Uncle Eddie.
You already arranged it?
Yeah.
You gotta just have them meet you in Lakeland, where we used to meet. But you can go all the way there if you want. It's up to you.
We're gonna go. It's only an hour drive from Orlando.
Yeah. Anyway, according to the old chime on the clock, as you can hear in the background,
8 o'clock.
It is 8 o'clock.
So we are going to wrap up. But before we do, because I do this at the end of every show, you can tune in. Well, now I'll mention you can. If you didn't catch the whole show, you can. You can probably. I don't know when we'll be up.
It'll be by the week, by probably Saturday. It'll be up.
Okay, so by Saturday we'll be up on Spreaker, Apple Music, Spotify, and Amazon.
As well as the regular places our video shows up.
I mean, Apple Podcast, not Apple Music, Amazon Music. But Sunday, I think, like Pat said, there'll be a show, Radioactive 7 to 9, tentatively, right?
Not tentative. More than likely, it's going to happen.
More than likely.
There's about 95% chance.
You got that, and then you got A World According to Elmer on Tuesday from 7 to 8.
Yeah.
And you could catch all these shows later, like within probably 2 days of them live on the platforms that we mentioned before. And then Saturdays, usually, not this one, from what Pat said, but Four Guys on Sports from 11 to noon, and any time on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, and others that I don't remember already. Anyway, so have a good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for joining, Justine. You're welcome anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
We will see you all next week. Have a blessed and happy week, and we will, as soon as I can get over to the controller, we'll go bye-byes. There we go. Have a good week, everybody. 7-3 all.